What's up, guys, and welcome back to Wikup Entertainment. So, there is a witness that was called by Advocate Baloyi to come and testify on behalf of the state. So, what then happened is that the defense then exposed this witness, and so many inconsistencies were revealed. That's when Advocate Baloyi then came in and is now trying to recall that witness so that he can come and clarify some of these exposures that were exposed by the defense.
This is not about the evidence being favorable to the state or the evidence or the defense, but about the truth being determined in order for the court to arrive at a just decision on the case. The evidence is on record. It's clear, my lord. The explanation on the nature of the two transactions in dispute before this court, in which the state seeks clarity, has already been given in many respects, my lord, but I decided to quote this few and to refer this court to this few that has already been explained by Kenneth Stein. So what more does the state want Kenneth Stein to come and say? Because he has already clarified, especially on page 14, the paragraph I've just read. Moving further down, my lord, on paragraph 1.15, recording of a witness is a rule of practice to ensure that justice is done. It is neither the re-examination of a witness as provided for by Section 166 of Criminal Procedure Act 51. It is more based on Section 173 of the Constitution. The recalling, my lord. The interest of justice, my lord, I submit with due respect, does not allow the recalling of a witness to come and repeat evidence, explanation that has already been testified in court. Because that will amount to an unfair trial on the part of the defense case.
So this is what is happening at the courtroom, and this isn't just like a legal move by either the defense or the state itself. There is a lot at stake here. This is like high stakes battle, It's like a battle of credibility and courtroom tactics. So Advocate Mshololo is arguing that Advocate Baloyi is trying to fix damaging contradictions that surfaced during cross-examination. This witness that they called the state to come and explain and try to clarify things on their behalf. But unfortunately for Advocate Baloyi, that witness was exposed with so many inconsistencies and contradictions being revealed by the defense. So Advocate Mshololo is now insisting that this isn't about justice, it's now about damage control. That is what Advocate Baloyi is trying to do here. Because when you look like from the side of the defense, this undermines the fairness of the trial if the state is allowed to recall this witness. So when you look at Advocate Baloyi, instead of presenting like a consistent case, you know what I'm saying? A consistent case. Advocate Baloyi is now reacting to courtroom pressure, trying to reshape evidence after it's already failed under scrutiny. Because the question is that, okay, if he recalls that witness and he comes back again and explains those contradictions, will Judge Rata allow the defense to cross-examine that witness again? Because the defense has to respond too. This brings in now a fresh problem, and this problem that is going to occur, it is that the defense will want to cross-examine that witness again after he has explained his contradictions. Then the state will also want to cover again those gaps. So what is going to end up happening is going to be this wheel that is going to be continuously rolling on and on. Everyone will want to have the last say, but it shouldn't be happening like that, because this witness has come and has testified and has been cross-examined. It's now up to Judge Rata to now have the final say, not for Advocate Baloyi to try and close all those patches. It's like you're trying to manipulate the court or something. I just don't see it being acceptable for him to be allowed to do that. But now let's look at the law for a second here. What Advocate Baloyi is trying to do in recalling a witness is actually allowed under South African law, but it's allowed in limited circumstances, but it's not automatic. It's not automatic. Let's get that one. The court, that is Judge Rata, he must decide whether it's actually justified, fair, and also in the interest of justice for that witness to be recalled. So the prosecution and the defense, or even the court itself, is also allowed to recall the witness, but there is a catch to that. You know, the catch is that the court must ensure that recalling this witness is not going to prejudice, the accused's right to a fair trial, or it's actually maybe used to patch up weak evidence, which is what I personally think Advocate Baloyi is trying to do here. So when they say to patch up weak evidence, what we're saying is that you see that you have been exposed. So you now want to recall this witness so that you can bandage the weaknesses that have been exposed. And the other catch is that the court must ensure that it does not undermine the neutrality of the trial process. By neutrality here, it should not appear as if the court is favoring the state, because if it happens like that and the defense says in the future, let's recall this witness, what will the court say? Will the court say no? Because initially they recalled the witness for the state, and it's now the defense that is now saying, let's recall this witness. It doesn't make sense at the end of the day, because the trial itself will take years and years to conclude, because everybody will be recalling the witness to try and patch up their evidence. But let's look at Advocate Baloyi. Is he justified in what he's trying to say? Because Advocate Baloyi is arguing that the witness needs to be recalled, not to fix the past testimony, but to deal with new facts brought up after his original testimony. So that is particularly Colonel Mogola and Brigadier Ndlovu. And Advocate Baloyi is also arguing that it's also in the interest of justice. And he's also saying that I'm not trying to ambush anyone here. So legally, yes, he is allowed from what he's saying. He's genuinely like reacting to new information that couldn't have been dealt with earlier. But where it gets tricky now is that this witness has already been cross-examined at length. So this is looking like an attempt, to fix contradictions rather than to explore new evidence. And that's the case, at least to me, and it's not justified, and it undermines the fairness of the trial. So at least that's my analysis. I think it's undermining the fairness of the trial, and this witness should not be recalled. So what do you think? Tell me in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.